So we're getting ready to upgrade a bit our test workbench. And so I figured as good a time as any to show everyone how we do things here, how we work on them. I got a different test station over at the warehouse, but this is what I use at home and honestly where I started. So all I'm going to be doing is adding this board. It's like a 2x12 or something like that across here to add another shelf. Why do we need another shelf? Because this is how everything is currently set up. So if you're going to be selling video games, specializing in video games, selling them, what have you, you want to try to have as much of everything as you can. That includes parts, systems, games to test consoles, controllers to test consoles, consoles to test controllers, vice versa, everything. AC adapters, power supplies, and I'll do a full tour of all of that another time. So you can see that we're maximizing the space to its fullest potential, right? It creates problems sometimes. I redid this bench some months ago. I moved it over from a different room. So all the wiring and all the cabling had to get redone. And mind you, I don't like the way it looks, right? But because it's set up like this, right now, this is the best way that we can do it without stressing all these cables, because you never want to have too much tension on them. Once we lower some of those consoles down by adding this shelf, we'll have a little bit more room for cables and for additional consoles that aren't here, but that we still have also for testing. So along with trying to have as many systems as possible, we also have like a testing laser disc player, video disc player, VCR, Betamax, camera, DVDs, writable CDs, you name it, right? And you don't want to break the bank for any of this. All of this should be organic. It should be as you go and based on how much you want to scale, what you specialize in, and just within reason. Everybody has different expectations, right? Are you reinvesting all of your money into your business? Are you pocketing some to pay bills? Everyone's case is going to be different. When I started doing this, everything was going towards the business. Everything. And so it grew pretty fast. I've been doing it for well over 10 years with a small break in between. And you'll be surprised at how much you can source. So we're going to focus on commercial grade stuff. Again, video games. So one of the things that you want to have is going to be switch boxes, right? Retro consoles, you're going to have some like this. This is going to simplify everything by a lot. You only really need one TV, and I'll do a video on why a little TV when we have tons of 50 inches here and what have you. HDMI switch box, same thing. These ones usually auto detect, and that's going to simplify your workload by a lot. You can actually test like all 8 systems at once if you really have that much of a workload going on, just by adding these switch boxes. Less wear and tear on your instruments, less plug-in and unplugging and what have you. As you start getting more technical, more complicated, etc., you'll want to start getting things like microscopes. If you do soldering, right? Soldering station. We got another one that has like a hot air gun. Real good lighting. You want to make sure you have that. A resurfacer, which I showed you guys in another video already. A dedicated light for when you're working on those little tedious projects. So that's just a brief overview of what the overall goal and intent behind this mess is. And mind you, this will get you far. You don't have to invest. You know, there's a lot of fancy benches out there. I've worked in different industries where we have some really cool, really expensive benches. This one, I made it myself. I'm no carpenter by any means, but it was inexpensive. I made it to the specifications that I had and that I needed at the time before I moved it to this room. So just to give you guys an idea, and like I said, I'll go into all these other sorting systems and inventories of parts at a later date in another video. So let's get started on mounting this and see how that turns out.
A few
Hours
moments later.
Alright, so we added the other board and I went and placed all the consoles back in. As you can see, we gave enough clearance for all the front loading consoles to fit in nicely and with enough room for airflow. That includes that master system there. And so these are all some of our most commonly used consoles for testing. You can see we've got an Atari, a Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64. Over here is our Looney Tunes game that we showed in a few videos back. We ended up keeping it because it's just so funny. Then there's the Nintendo 64 over here. We get games that we keep for testing systems. Here's Record of Lodoss War. There's the GameCube. Up here we got a PS3, then our PS2, which also functions as a PS1. Now, when it comes to keeping these consoles, I recommend that you don't keep the pretty ones. If you recall, I mentioned that everything should come organically. So you should be keeping your more beat up ones and sending your buyers all your nicer ones. And of course, this is all organically, so you're going to upgrade as you go. We could probably do a reshell video of that Super Nintendo if you guys want to see that one. So all we have left to do is to clean this up so that we can reskin this tabletop. Hopefully that gave you some ideas on how to go about building your own setup based on your needs and space.